What's up everyone, it's Kari with Money Investing. Thank you so much for joining me in for yet another Market Open live stream. I just came back from a run and I'm super excited to get started. And we have the broader markets seeing a little bit of recovery here. So the Nasdaq up just over 43 basis points. We got the S&P up just over 33 basis points pre-market, and the Dow also green so far, 25 basis points. However, we are seeing a little bit of weakness pre-market, right? So as soon as the market's opened pre-market, we are seeing some selling pressure come down to bring us back down a little bit lower. So the S&P was as high as 437, that's a SPY ETF, and we have pulled back close to 0.5%. And the Nasdaq has also come down close to 60 basis points, and this is again pre-market. And the Dow also has pulled back close to over 38 basis points. So I just had a good breakfast. That's great, Maxim. That's good. Breakfast is very important. It's important for us to stay hydrated. Of course, breakfast is the most important meal of the day also. VIX slightly down 1.5%, still trading well over 22.87, so relatively elevated from previous levels. Manny, good morning. Thank you so much for joining. Everybody, welcome. So thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you guys. Keeping a close eye at 25, right? So yesterday in our live stream, I talked about how VIX was trading at 21. And for us to get up to as high as 25 was a little bit unlikely. And guess what? 2 hours later, the VIX was almost at 25, got up to as high as 22.89. Was at one point it was up over 30%. So very, very severe pullback in the markets yesterday. And of course, Bitcoin just hovering over $42,000. That's the support. Ethereum just at 2,900. So anything between 2,800, 2,900, kind of aligned with that green rectangle is a support for Ethereum. Oil is starting to pull back a little bit from that resistance at closer to $80 a barrel. So you'll notice that we got tagged at that $80 level, and right now we're starting to see a bit of a pullback here for Brent, and then for crude also at $74, $75. It's now starting to act as a new support. This previous resistance now acting as a new support. So again, we covered oil quite extensively yesterday. And we'll see if we get up to as high as $90 or $100, and that's some of the predictions from some of the banks out there as well. So quick poll here. Yes, I'll go over the 10-year yields also. Thank you for reminding me. So this right here is going to be the 10-year yields. We're seeing a little bit of a pullback here, down about 1.5%, still well over 1.5. So it's very important for us to continue to kind of monitor this level. And for everyone who's part of our Discord, I sent out like a whole book over to our market updates channel, going over my thoughts and some of the 7 risks to the market. And of course, what to watch. 4 things to watch in this market, and 7 risks that are kind of like an overhang on the markets as well. So make sure that you read that thoroughly, and kind of, those are my thoughts written out. And I actually spent a lot of time kind of writing all that out. So you're more than welcome to read that as well. But the yields, 1.5, still very elevated, but obviously coming down from yesterday's high of well over 1.555. So that's that. Let's take a quick look on the stocks here. So Micron reported their earnings for the quarterly earnings of $2.42, 9 cents above estimates. So they actually ended up beating revenue and EPS expectations. Revenue also topped street forecast. However, the current quarter forecast fell below the consensus estimate, and that was because of the computer making customers facing shortages of other parts, and the stock fell 3.6% pre-market. So this has definitely been on my watch. But right now we are down closer to 3% after getting tagged at that resistance of close to $74, $75 a share. So watching 69, closer to $70 per share next as a support for Micron. And definitely it has underperformed the markets. It's just been pulling back down about 26, 27% from the beginning of April, when it was at well over $95 a share. So certainly undervalued, so to speak, just from a traditional metrics standpoint, trading at just at 20 times earnings, 3 times sales. When you compare Micron with some of the other chip makers, Micron definitely trades at a very, very low valuation, but there's a reason for that, right? That's because the revenues have been coming down and the profitability has been coming down as well, and there's a lack of demand for what Micron produces in the DRAM space. So that's that. Gonna continue to monitor this as well. Netflix rose 1% as they announced that they bought the video game maker Night School Studio in a move to diversify its revenue sources. And Night School Studio is best known for supernatural themed video games, Oxenfree. I'm not familiar with that game, but that's Netflix's way of kind of diversifying into the video game space. So up over 1%, but 593 is still going to be that resistance to watch for Netflix. Lucid was up over 8% last time I checked. almost tagging that resistance again, $29. It's up just over 6% right now. So definitely a strong gap up here after a brutal sell-off yesterday. It was down over 5.2%. And they said that in October, late October, they are going to be delivering its first electric luxury sedan after kicking off production at its Arizona factory on Tuesday. They said that the vehicles will have a greater range than comparable cars from rival Tesla. And of course, the stock was up over 7.3%. So that's great news. That's very, very solid for Lucid to finally deliver its vehicles in late October. It's almost here, just about a month away. So we're going to talk about Sofi in just a minute. I just want to go over some of these companies. So Sofi actually did a note offering, a bond offering. We'll talk about it in just a second. But definitely a strong catalyst for Lucid. And $29 is going to be that next resistance level to watch. Anything inside this red rectangle, anywhere between $28 and $29 is going to be a resistance level to keep in mind for Lucid. And of course, support level is going to stay put. I mean, just take a look at all the moving averages. We got the 50, we got the 200, we got the 100. All of them are sitting right there at close to $22 to $23 a share. All right, let's follow up with Dollar Tree. So Dollar Tree jumped 3.7% pre-market after the discount retailer increased its share repurchase authorization by $1 billion to a total of $2.5 billion. So any share buybacks are good for shareholders. That's what the equity ownership increases, right, in that stock. So you're getting a bigger piece of the revenue, bigger piece of the profits. That's what we want to see for any company that we're investing in. Unless, of course, it's in like a very, very startup phase. It's in a very growth sort of phase where it can continue to kind of fuel its growth and increase its revenue more than the average or the industry average, right? So then it's kind of like, okay, you have to take it by case basis if they are raising a lot of capital by issuing a lot of shares, but you also don't want to have a company that's diluting the shareholders by too much. But any type of share buybacks is going to be positive for any company that decides to do that. So in this case, Dollar Tree up over 3% on this news. Affirm Holdings, financial services company, said it will offer debit cards as well as allow customers to execute cryptocurrency transactions directly from savings account, and it jumped over 3.6%. Let's take a look. AFRM. So Affirm definitely up over 4%. Nice rally. It's got a couple catalysts. It announced the partnership with Amazon. Then strong earnings were also announced on September 9th, September 10th, around those levels when it gapped up over 34%. Rallied even higher. $138 is going to be that next resistance. And yesterday it was down over 10%. Wow. So pretty steep sell-off for Affirm. So $103 is going to be that support right there. So that's the most recent support that we have just been validating before pushing higher, and that is going to be that next resistance. So keep in mind at close to $138 a share. All right, so Lucid announced deliveries. Will it hit $30 today? So Lucid didn't announce deliveries. It announced when it plans to deliver vehicles, which is in late October. And as a result, it's up over 7%. So that's good that they're finally going to be able to deliver vehicles. And we'll see what the feedback is. We'll see what the reaction is from the customers when they actually start driving vehicles. We'll see how good the vehicles are. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of reviews on the vehicles once it gets out. So $29 to $30 is going to be that next target and that next resistance. We have like a triple top resistance at that level. We've gotten rejected once, twice, 3 times at that level. So I would just continue to watch that. And the volume needs to really be there in order for us to see a breakout over $29, $30. So support $22, $23, aligned with all those moving averages. Resistance stays put at $29. Let's take a look at Sofi. So Sofi was down 3% yesterday. Wow, down over 4.5% today. So they actually did a bond offering today, I think closer to $750 million right there. So Sofi Technology proposed $750 million debt offering, which is obviously different than an equity offering. So they're actually raising cash through debt. On Wednesday, proposed $750 million private offering of convertible senior notes due 2026. So the company said it plans to grant the initial purchasers of the notes an option to buy up an additional $112.5 million worth of notes for settlement within a period of 13 days from and including the date of the notes first issued. The notes, which have a maturity date in October 15, 2026, will be unsecured, unsubordinated obligations of the company and will accrue interest payable semi-annual in arrears. So semi-annual, the company will have to pay interest or the coupon payments on these notes, which are going to be due 2026, so 5 years from now. At roughly $750 million is what they're raising through this offering. So Sofi said that it plans to use the proceeds to fund the cost of entering into capped call transactions The remaining proceeds, together with cash on hand, will be used to pay fees, costs, and expenses relating to the offering and related transactions and general corporate purposes. So since these are convertible notes, they can be converted into equity offering. I think that's one of the catalysts why the stock may be down, because 750 million off of a market cap of $14 billion. That's roughly, I want to say, let's just do some very quick math. 1 divided by 14 was going to be about 7%. So a little bit less than 7% potential dilution. It's not a whole, it's actually reasonable, 750 million. So if I were to do roughly 6% is the number right here for the company. So 5.3% is the potential dilution. Again, these are senior notes, so this is actually debt offering as opposed to an equity offering, but they're convertible, so that's what the market potentially is pricing in, and as a result, we're down over 4.3%. So definitely coming down below the 1665, 1650 levels, and the next support I would watch is that 50 exponential moving average, that yellow line you guys see on the chart, sitting roughly at 16 bucks. So keep a close eye on Sofi at $16 a share on the day. So very quickly, I'm gonna do this poll. Ranjit, what's up? Welcome on board. We're going to do this quick poll on the markets, and then we'll go over our 4 charts and break down individual companies as well. Let's see what you guys think of the markets today. But certainly we are seeing a little bit of weakness intraday as we are pulling back pre-market. So definitely we were much higher for the entire markets. The broader markets were opened higher, so gapped up, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a pullback. And VIX also was as low as 21.45 and has jumped from those lows a little bit close to over 6%. So we'll see what happens. We could see a lot of consolidation on the day as well, right? We could see some sideways trading as market starts to stabilize. But overall, I mean, we got the S&P, the Nasdaq, both trading below that 50 EMA. We got a perfect tag of that 50 EMA yesterday, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a pullback. And of course, the testimonies yesterday were kind of painful to watch, in my opinion. It was okay, but some of the senators and some of the spokespeople in banking community and everyone who was asking questions to Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell can be absolutely brutal sometimes. Elizabeth Warren is a great example, and how she said Jerome Powell is quote unquote dangerous to the financial markets and the economy, which I personally don't agree with. I think he's doing a great job, but that's the kind of heat you receive when you're at that level, because literally, I mean, the chairman of the Fed is probably one of the most important roles, not only in the US, but in the world, because US powers 25% of the world economy, controls 25% of GDP of the world. So it's a very important job, and there's constantly going to be pressure. There's constantly going to be shots fired at your way. So I just think that he's doing a great job, but it's politics. That's how it works, I guess. But watching that 100 SMA on the S&P roughly at 43.41, and Nasdaq is going to be roughly 14,200. The first one is going to be that 100 SMA, but 14.2 is going to be a much better support for us to keep a close eye on. All right, let's see. Let's just open up our charts. How much time is left? We got about 3 minutes left for the markets to open. Let's see how Nio is doing. So Nio doesn't look very good. It's Tesla is up over 40 basis points. Nio is up over 1%. So doing okay, $35.40. Remember, we've got a lot of work to do for Nio. So Nio needs to actually break out over this downtrending channel. I mean, it's just been making lower highs and lower lows. There's not a lot of volume. I mean, the volume has dropped off. You'll notice that, at one point we were well over 100 million shares, and that number has consistently come down. So take a look at this arrow right here, and the volume has just significantly dropped over the last several months. And what we really need to have is really push higher in terms of the volumes. So 37, 35 million is the current volume at the moment. And for Nio to actually break its trend, it needs to break out over 40 bucks and regain that momentum over those moving averages. So keep a close eye at $34 support and $40 resistance for the company right now. For Palantir, had a strong breakdown yesterday, down about 7%, almost 8%, almost validating those moving averages. We got the 50 and the 200 SMA right there. 25.75, I'll actually go ahead and turn this level into a resistance now. Right now, pre-market, we are below that level, but that is going to be that resistance to watch for Palantir on the day. So keep a close eye at that resistance for Palantir. So Josh, rumor is that Nio delivered 10,000 cars in September. Yes, there was also a rumor last month that Nio delivered over 8,000 vehicles, which was false. So take that with a grain of salt. I am very interested in what Nio reports. I'm really expecting Nio to do at least over 9,000 vehicle deliveries, but I would take them with a grain of salt because there's always going to be rumors about deliveries, and unless the company actually comes out and officially announces what they did, I would not speculate on that delivery numbers. So let them announce. We've only got four days left. Actually, not even 4 days. We got 2 days left for the company to announce its deliveries, right? So Friday is going to be the day, and then we'll see what they actually come out with. All right, so let's see. The market's opening in just about 10 seconds here. I'm just going to switch over to the actual indices. All right, so what is the poll? 55% green, 45% red. We just got about a perfect split here almost. Yeah, so we covered Sofi earlier. You're more than welcome to check out that analysis and then jump over to the live stream. All right, the markets are live. We're going to keep Amazon here. We'll keep Apple over here, Tesla, and then we'll also keep Nio on this side today. And then jump over to the actual, some of the other stocks as well. So Prabhu says, I just started investing and the markets are a mess. In my opinion, the best time to actually start investing, if you are just getting started in the markets, is during a mess. It's during when everything is like chaotic, because that's when you get the best opportunities to actually start investing and start hunting for those deals, as opposed to investing at a time when everything is perfect, everything is trading at all-time highs, the valuations are great, everything is just booming. That's probably, you know, one of the harder lessons you're going to get if you start investing at that point, and then everything just starts coming down. Right now, when you're in that mess, I think that's the best time. That way you can learn a lot of lessons along the way, and you can learn the hard way, because I can sit here and tell you about all my experiences and tell you that the market's correct and it's going to be brutal, it's going to be painful, it's going to come down, you know, but it's not going to affect you unless, of course, you go through that whole process, you experience it yourself, and that's how you're going to actually come out on the other side as a better investor. So, all right, the market's pushing higher a little bit. We're going to keep a close eye on the 5-minute charts here, and then we'll jump over to some individual companies to take a look at those as well. So keeping a close eye on the broader markets. VIX still down about 1.5%. Oil still up over 0.5% here. Chevron, Exxon slightly down, pretty much flat on the day, with Ethereum validating that support 2,900. Bitcoin also up over 2.6%, validating $42,000 roughly at that support level at the moment. All right, so let's see. We got a little bit of a spike on Apple. Tesla also slightly green. Amazon not doing a whole lot, just up over 26 basis points. But the overall market seems like there's a lot of flat movement, with Upstart again up over 2% here on the day, back up to over $321 a share. Jason, that's a really funny comment. All right, let's see what other stocks. Baba, let's take a look at Alibaba. How's that stock doing? Down about 1.7% here. Yesterday was a decent day. Actually, the past couple of days have been very, very good for Alibaba. Yesterday 1.47% jump. The day before 3.5%. 148 is now going to be a support level for the company. We're just trading exactly at $150 a share. I actually took a look at the Webull analysis tab on this, and they actually do a really good job in kind of sharing the profitable shares. And believe it or not, it was like less than 1%. Less than 1% currently shares are profitable on Alibaba, and that's how much it's come down. I mean, it's just been a substantial drop, but that just goes to show that as the prices were moving higher, a lot of investors were dollar cost averaging up. And when this drop happened, this entire pullback happened for Alibaba, not only less than 1% are actually profitable in Alibaba. That just goes to show how much risk has been priced into the company, and as a result, it's come down so much. Let's take a look at Activision Blizzard. Nice recovery happening over the last 3 to 4 days. So it is up from $72, up just over 7%. 77.65. Around those levels is going to be that next resistance level to watch for Activision Blizzard. So if you pull back on the chart, that's been a previous support level that we've consistently validated for Activision Blizzard. Previous support. So perfect retest of that level, and that is going to be that next resistance level to watch intraday. 77.65, around those levels, right? So previous support could potentially act as a resistance. We'll see where the volume is, and if you can actually see a potential breakout to the upside. All right, let's take a look at EA. Is EA also pushing higher? So up another 2%. Strong recovery for EA, right? From lows of about $124, jump of 10%. And this is entirely during a market correction. That's absolutely phenomenal. Because you'll notice that, yeah, so EA, Activision Blizzard, and Take-Two have all had a really good week, all during a market pullback here, right? So strong momentum to the upside, and I would watch that resistance kind of align with those moving averages at 140. 140 is going to be that potential area of resistance for EA to watch very, very closely, and let's see if we can actually break out over that level. Let's kind of follow up on Take-Two. Take-Two not as great of a week as EA. It's only up over 4% compared with EA that's up over 10%, but $151 we're kind of getting tagged at that level and finding that resistance at the moment. So that would continue to be a resistance for Take-Two Interactive. I'm super bullish on the company. I do believe that it has a lot of potential with the metaverse and of course the GTA launch as well eventually. I just can't see why Take-Two Interactive eventually won't launch GTA 6. I mean, GTA 5 was one of the best games out there, best-selling games. And I can only imagine what GTA 6 is going to be. Like, it's going to create so much buzz around that one game. It's going to have, in my opinion, the best sort of interaction with just the Rockstar games in general, right? They're going to be able to surpass their GTA 5 numbers. And eventually, when they announce it and when the games actually start selling and when it's done, I could see Take-Two Interactive, north of $200 once again. So, bullish on this company. Will consider to kind of dollar cost average if it comes down even further. Let's take a look at Southwest. So $52.50. So $54 was a resistance for Southwest. We'll consider to kind of watch that level. We got rejected perfectly on that day when we were breaking out. So that's the important piece, right? Always wait for the stocks to actually close, right? Close the candles. Whether you're watching the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 4 hour, always allow the candles to close because you can see a lot of choppy trading sessions intraday or whatever time frame you're looking at. So, for example, on September 27th, Southwest was all the way as high as $54.36. 54 was a resistance. If you bought in at that breakout, then it would have been a false breakout, right? Because the sellers came in and then we sold off all the way back down and we closed below $54. So always allow for the candles to close. Had we had a successful close above $54, above that 200 SMA, then yes, we could have seen some more upside for Southwest and some more momentum to the upside here for Southwest. But since we closed down, $52 right here is going to be that next support level, and 54 is going to stay that resistance. I may kind of dollar cost average into this company as well, because Southwest is kind of like my recovery play. It's got one of the best balance sheets out of all airlines. All right, so let's see. Let's take a look at Sofi. We already went over Palantir. Let's see AMD. Advanced Micro Devices, how is this stock doing? Just up over 60 basis points, nothing really. But $102 to as low as $100 is going to be that next support level to watch for that company, right? So we've just been consolidating sideways. And yesterday was a brutal sell-off, down about 6%. But keep a close eye at $100 to as high as $110 range within which it's been trading. So that's a consolidation pattern. And we'll see which weights kind of breaks out at. In my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised to see a breakdown below 100 just because it's trading below its 50 EMA. But we'll continue to kind of monitor this. So Marcus, I don't own any Activision Blizzard. Take-Two Interactive is the only gaming stock I own, plus Corsair Gaming. Those are the only two. Let's take a look at Sofi. Kind of update on that very quickly. So buyers stepping in, almost at that 50 EMA. So we're only down about 2.3%. So that's good. And 1665 actually is going to be that next sort of resistance for us to see whether we break out and close above that level or not. So right now we're just literally at that resistance at 1665, and we'll see if Sofi can close above that level or not. So Ranjit, I'm selling with you on Take-Two Interactive. That's good. That's great. Micron today definitely pulling back on earnings, down about 3%. So watching 69 closer to $70 a share for Micron. That's the next support level. Gap down on earnings. Great earnings and revenue, what they announced, but the future guidance was far lower than what the analysts were expecting. What's holding Upstart so much? I don't know. You tell me. I mean, it's probably. I feel like it was a mixture of a lot of different things, right? When we were obviously talking about this stock at closer to $110, $100 when we saw that breakout on earnings. The earnings were absolutely phenomenal. And if I were to crown one company that absolutely blew earnings out of the water in 2021, it has to be Upstart. And the reason why that is because everything across the board, I mean, when I read the report, I couldn't find one thing that I was disappointed at or one thing that I could criticize Upstart about. It was just strong growth across all metrics and a really strong future guidance for the company and some more verticals that they're jumping into the auto market. So once that happens, we saw a lot of upgrades, and this all volume that you see was primarily driven by institutions, in my opinion. So we saw a lot of institutional buying, which resulted in a strong breakout, over 40-50%. And then when we see the institutionals are done buying, when we see this volume come down, then this volume may have been like Wall Street bets or Reddit fueled, which resulted in even a further rally for Upstart. So that resulted in like now at $350 a share. Obviously, I'm not touching this, not buying this at these levels, but just continuing to kind of hold and observe how it's doing. All right, so let's take a look at Fiverr. So Fiverr for Pedro. So Fiverr had a really brutal sell-off yesterday, breaking down below all of its moving averages, down about 7.8%. And that's usually what happens when you're investing in like super high growth stocks that are trading at a rich valuation. So in our market updates channel, I went over exactly why this is kind of like a risk-off environment where the markets didn't want anything to do with risk. Anything that's risk was getting sold off yesterday, right? If it's high risk, sell it. That was kind of like the mentality yesterday. And when stocks are trading at rich valuations, they are inherently risky. So that's why we saw companies like Nvidia, Fiverr, AMD. We also had a lot of companies, including Upstart, that was down quite a bit. That was down over 6, 7, 8%, right? Palantir down almost 8% because the valuations for these companies are rich, but the growth rates are also really high. So there's the risk and reward, because in a down day, when the S&P, the Nasdaq really are selling off, you can see significant pullbacks for those stocks versus some of the other companies like Take-Two Interactive, Vertex Pharmaceutical, Walgreens, right? Some of those companies didn't quite budge, and they were relatively flat or up on the day. So you will find that trade-off between risk and reward and volatility when you are investing in some of the higher growth, higher valuation companies. So 180 is that support for Fiverr, and that resistance is going to stay put at closer to this gap that we've identified inside this wide rectangle, sitting anywhere between 209 all the way as high as $229 a share. So I'll actually bring this level down a little bit. So resistance between 209 and 229 for Fiverr. And right now, the RSI is coming down. The MACD is also potentially crossing below the signal line. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback here as well for the markets. So, all right, Evelyn. So, Abel, thank you so much for that donation. I'll go over ASML in just a second, and then I'll respond to Evelyn's question. So, all right, let's take a look. ASML. So, volume is kind of decent on this, just about 1 million shares on an average basis, 345 billion. So, it's pretty large cap stock. And it's been on a consistent uptrend, right? Just been validating that 50 EMA or that 100 SMA and just respecting that moving average. Year to date, the stock is up over 60%. That's really good. Is there a connection problem? Let me know in the comments if the connection is not good. Hopefully it improves. But let me know if you're having issues with the connection here. Yeah, I don't know why that keeps happening. All right, let's just give it a few minutes here. Hopefully it improves. All right, we're just gonna have to wait. I don't know why what's going on. God, this always happens during our live streams. But all right, so for ASML, I'll keep a close eye at that 100 SMA next, sitting roughly at $743 to watch that 100 simple moving average, because once we break down below that 50 EMA, the 100 SMA has been previous support for the stock as well. So definitely breaking down below the 50 exponential moving average. So I will continue to kind of monitor that 100 simple moving average for this stock. All right, so it's better now. Seems okay now. Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because my YouTube studio still shows like poor connection. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it gets better. All right, so Evelyn asks, they say US runs out of cash in October if debt ceiling is not raised. Do you think that we have to sell some stocks before October? So that's a great question. October 18th, I think, is kind of like the day that they're referring to as the doomsday. Like that's the day when the US needs to make a decision whether to raise its debt ceiling or to suspend it altogether. In my strong opinion, again, this is my expectation, whatever we see from now up until October 18th is going to be a lot of noise related to politics and this market fear related to debt ceiling. There could be other risks. Again, refer to our 7 risks that I shared over in our Discord channel. But when it comes to the debt ceiling, I really don't expect that to be a longer term problem. Let me rephrase. The debt in itself is a longer term issue that needs to be addressed, right? I've done a separate video on that, and I literally titled it, one of the biggest risks I see for the US economy and the US markets is in fact the debt. So I would highly encourage you guys to watch that video. I posted that video back in March of this year. So I would definitely keep a close eye on the debt levels, right? Of course, at $28 trillion and whatever that interest rate is, we're going to continue to kind of see. God, I'm so sorry, you guys. I do apologize. I don't know what's going on with my connection. It just says it's poor. I don't. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Usually, I mean, usually it always works, but turn caps lock on and off. Well, how does that help? Yeah, I don't know why it shows poor, and it's lagging for some people, but as I was saying, like the debt level, I've done a separate video on that. It's going to be a longer term problem for the US. I mean, the real question really is, how are they going to plan to finance that debt and continue to pay it down, right? That's the real question. But when it comes to the debt ceiling, I don't expect the US to default on its debt, because that has never happened, and everything that we hear from now till October 18th is going to be a lot of noise, and I do expect the debt ceiling to either get raised or get suspended altogether. Alt F4 fixes everything. What do you guys really? What kind of shortcuts are you giving me? All right, now it's not responding altogether. I just exited the whole app with Alt F. God, you just made me exit the whole application of TradingView. I forgot what that shortcut was. I forgot. I wasn't thinking, so I forgot what that shortcut was. Funny, really funny. I forgot what that shortcut was. I knew it, but then I didn't realize. But I did, James, I did. But I wasn't thinking because I was trying to fix it. I was trying to think what's going on, but anyway, we have it back. All right, so but Nio is doing really well, right? So almost at 2% here on the day. And we got Apple also pushing higher, pushing higher, and Tesla is slightly flat on the day. Let's just check out some of the other stocks as well. The markets are pulling back, after the open. So don't trust the chat. I'm not going to trust the chat with the shortcuts. But yes, the Nasdaq is pulling back intraday, right? Still up over 25 basis points, but we are starting to pull back a little bit. So S&P only up over 17 basis points. So we could see a lot of consolidation here intraday. So I wouldn't be surprised if the markets just literally just close flat, and the weakness to somewhat continue, right? And for us to continue to kind of see some more downside here, because I am ready. Like we've obviously been buying a lot of stocks here, and over the last several weeks as the markets have come down. And for the Nasdaq, we are down just over 5%. So that's a reasonable pullback, right? We're right now just in a pullback territory, and we're gonna watch as low as 14,200. Let's take a look at AMC and how AMC is doing. So we got AMC also up close to 90 basis points. So $40 is now going to be a resistance for the stock right now. And you'll notice that in the past we've seen $40 act as both a support and a resistance for the company. We broke out to highs of $50, and then we sold off even further. And right now $40 is acting as some type of a resistance for the stock. So keep a close eye at that level. We may get up to a retest, $40 once again. We get up higher once again, but 29 closer to $30 is going to be that next support level to also watch for AMC. Bitcoin just breaking below 42,000 here. Sofi moving upward, so 1665 is going to be the level to watch for Sofi. There we go. So we're breaking out to the upside even further. That's a lot of buying pressure coming in for Sofi, and if we close above 1665, that would be really nice regain of that momentum and back up to those levels. All right, so let's take a look at NET, Cloudflare. Cloudflare has been moving higher up until recently. It's come down quite a bit, down about 17%. And this also has been a stock that's, I think, up year to date quite a bit. So 51% year to date. Strong move to the upside here for Cloudflare. Let's see, 71 times sales. It kind of fits in that same category of CrowdStrike, which also trades at a very rich valuation. I think like closer to, plus 20, 30 times sales. So certainly very, very great company. Like it's a strong company. It's got strong growth rates, path to profitability as well. And the margins are incredibly high for this company too. So let's take a quick look. So we're talking gross margins at over 77%, right? So it's good, but we want to make sure that we're buying it at an undervalued level. Even if you're not buying it at an undervalued level, at least we start a position at a fair valuation, which Cloudflare, in my opinion, is not quite at that level yet. So this is a reasonable pullback, 19-20%, watching $96 next as a proper support, as low as $92. That's going to be a level to watch, aligned with that 200 simple moving average. So what's your position on LMT? Lockheed Martin, I really like. We got up. So this has been like a symmetrical triangle for Lockheed Martin, so lower highs and higher lows. And you'll notice that we kind of bounced off of that support, and then we got tagged at that 50 EMA, and right now we're starting to come back down. So it's a great sort of dividend stock, 3% dividend yield. One of the biggest defense companies in the world, and of course, has a lot of contracts with the U.S. government and produces like the best known jets, fighter jets in the world. So I really like Lockheed Martin, but it really depends on what kind of portfolio are you building. Is it a dividend portfolio? Then yes, Lockheed Martin may have a position in that portfolio, but it's certainly not a growth stock, right? So if you're only looking for growth, then Lockheed Martin may not be for you, because their revenues have been very stable and they haven't really grown like 25, 30, 40% year over year. It's more like mid single digits, low single digit growths for the company. So I really like the company, but it's kind of stable, right? It's in a funny way, it's kind of like a dinosaur company that is just going to move sideways. It's got a very low beta, and it'll pay you dividends, and it'll do well over the long term. All right, let's check out the markets here very quickly. There we go, the Nasdaq getting bought up very quickly in just one candle. In one 5-minute candle, it got bought up very quickly. Dollar Tree is up over 14% now. Very, very strong move then. Wow, 13% move to the upside. Again, they were basically they were buying their shares back. So that was one of the catalysts that came out for Dollar Tree. So they're authorizing repurchase program of just over 1 billion for a total of 2.5 billion. So as a result, they're obviously going up and tagging that 100 SMA at $98.85. So I would consider kind of watch that moving average. And new support level, if we successfully close above this $97 range, is going to be this green line you guys see on the chart, sitting roughly at $96 a share. So James, that's a great question. Is it worth investing in growth at this point when bond yields going up? In my opinion, yes. I mean, it's going to affect the growth stocks a little bit. It really depends which companies you refer to as growth, because I can put the same. Apple is also a growth stock in my opinion. So is Microsoft. So is Google. And then on the same growth sort of side, you can also put Fiverr. You can also put Upstart. You can also put all these other well-known companies like CrowdStrike and Cloudflare and all these companies, but their valuation is incredibly high. So when bond yields are going up, obviously it's going to affect growth stocks in general, but you want to make sure that you understand the valuations of where they're trading, right? Relative to their earnings, relative to their cash flow, their EBITDA, and their revenue. So once you understand that, regardless of where or how the yields do, in the short term, it's going to represent an opportunity to accumulate more, but over the long term, we are going to see yields kind of curl back down. I mean, they're not going to go up to like 4, 5, 6, 8%, right? They're going to stabilize at some point, and at that point, growth will continue to kind of pick up in the future. So I think valuation is going to be very important. And Tesla's low, take a look, $780, and this is 5-minute candles, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. actually 5. So 25 minutes on Tesla was a perfect validation of $780 time and time again. We were just consistently validating 780, and low for the day 779 before seeing that push higher. Same with the Nio, also starting to push higher, up over 2.3%, and Apple also pushing higher. As a result, the Nasdaq is now up over 70 basis points, and S&P also up over 0.5%, with the Dow also up over 46 basis points. So we are seeing a little bit of recovery here from yesterday's sell-off. So that's good, and we'll see if the buying momentum continues on the day, and where we end up for the day in terms of how we close. All right, so Solar Edge for Silky. So you called me Kenny. Who's Kenny? You guys are so funny. Yeah, I mean, if there were a Kenny, he can definitely take a look at Solar Edge for you. But there's no Kenny over here. Solar Edge just consolidating sideways for the most part here. But you'll notice that we are kind of forming an ascending triangle. So it's kind of like making this higher low at the moment. So definitely got, you know, this ascending support. So we're obviously not going as low as we did the previous time. And the resistance is going to stay put at close to $295, $296 right here. So definitely, you know, there is a potential for a breakout on Solar Edge right here. So forming that ascending triangle, and we'll continue to kind of watch this. If it does move up higher, 298 is going to be that resistance. And as we kind of fill in this channel, then we could see a breakout to the upside just from this ascending triangle that's forming right now. Yep, no problem. I just went over your stock anyway. Let's take a look at Nextera Energy. That's actually a great stock. Nextera Energy I really like. It's got a decent yield, not a whole lot, but 2% is also okay. It's in that renewable energy space. Definitely has been coming down, 12%. I would watch that support at close to $71, $72 a share. So this right here is going to be level to watch because we've just been, validating that support quite a bit right here. So there's a lot of demand for Nextera Energy at that $71 per share level. So we'll continue to kind of watch that for Nextera Energy. But certainly, in my opinion, it's got a great company. The debt is a little bit of a concern. The company has quite a bit of debt. So if you come over to the balance sheet, you'll notice that their cash to debt ratio is not the best. So they got well over $53 billion in debt versus just about $1 billion in cash. So that's the only concern that I have. But keep a close eye at that $71 per share level for Nextera Energy. And of course, the RSI is very oversold. The MACD is also very, very oversold as well. G, good morning. Welcome on board. Let's take a look at Peloton. So Peloton has been selling off. So 92.50 is going to be that next resistance level. What's your take on O? Got in around $66. James, I'm very bullish on O. I will continue to kind of buy more shares of that company. Still building out a bigger position, and we'll continue to do that over the next 3 to 6 months. As far as is Kenny the new caddy, probably. But 92.50 is going to be that next resistance on Peloton, and $80 is going to be support. I think I did an analysis on this, a very dedicated analysis of fair value for this company. Unfortunately, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are bullish on the company, but just based on the current valuation and the growth rates that the company has, was roughly, I believe, like in the mid 70s to high 70s for this company. So $80 is going to be that next support level, and resistance is going to stay put at close to $90.50 in the near term. And obviously it's come down quite a bit, but this was the exact support that we validated back in May before seeing a rally close to over 59-60%. So Nio making a move, definitely pushing higher. Let's take a look at DraftKings. We haven't covered DraftKings in a while, so maybe I'll do like a separate video on this. So $44.50 is going to be that next support level to watch. Still watching that level closely. We saw a significant breakdown here after the company had a really big offer of $20 billion. On Entain, or Entail was it? Some company, Entain I think, based in UK. And of course they've done already a couple acquisitions, buying Simple Bet and Golden Nugget as well. And doing a third acquisition within a year, within a span of 2 to 3 months. I mean, that's just really propping up the balance sheet with a lot of debt, and that's what the market was kind of pricing in. So definitely would watch $44.50 as an next support. I'm still kind of bullish on DraftKings. Like I do believe that sports betting is going to be huge, but we also have to consistently monitor like the regulations and the legalization of sports betting in different jurisdictions as well. Always dividend paying stock, right? Yes, so always a dividend paying stock. Nelson pays 4% and pays every month at the end of every month. I think they just announced, I think like 23 or 24 cents dividend yesterday. So right here, so reports quarterly adjusted, funds from operation per share of 88 cents. That's the quarterly, and raising the AFFO per share guidance to $3.59, right? So $3.59. So let's see. So $3.59. When you do like $65, that's where it's trading now, with their guidance of 88, with their guidance of $3.59 in average funds from operation. That gets us to an 18 times ratio, 18 times multiple. So it's still trading at a relatively like decent valuation. I don't want to say it's like undervalued or overvalued. It's like very reasonable. If this was like, lows of 12 or 14, then yes, it would be like ridiculously cheap at those prices. But 4.3% yield, pays every month, has a really strong portfolio of commercial real estate and companies that are well known in the US also, in the retail space. And the one thing that I kind of like about Realty Corporation is that it doesn't have like a lot of office exposure, right? With the pandemic, we saw a lot of offices kind of shutting down because businesses can be done with Zoom. But Realty Income has 50% plus of their portfolio in retail. And these are companies like Walmart, Walgreens, that people really need to go in store to buy whatever they need. Home Depot is part of it. Physical gyms, so like Planet Fitness and whatnot. 7-Eleven is part of it. So I really like that they have very little exposure to offices. So that's why I'm really bullish on Realty Corp. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. $790, almost at that level. So very, very strong here. Move to the upside. Watching $800 next. You're the Energizer Bunny. That's a really strange comment. First time I've actually heard that, but thank you. Not sure if that's but yeah, thanks. All right, let's take a look at Micron is recovering, but I wanted to take a look at another stock that somebody mentioned. Let's see. Enphase I wanted to take a look at, but Micron also getting bought up, so it's very, very good. As the market's getting bought up, we also have Micron pushing higher. $69, $70 still going to be that support level. Resistance going to stay put at close to $74, $75 a share. So let's take a look at Enphase and let's see where that stock is trading. 152, just hovering around $150 per share. May start buying this stock as well a little bit more. Need to build out a bigger position, but on my watch list, we'll be watching 150. All of this was $130 a share. I'm kind of surprised that Enphase kind of held up pretty nicely yesterday. To be honest, like it still trades at 20 times sales, 120 times earnings. So, and sure, future earnings forecasted EPS based on the current price, the forward price earnings will be much lower. But still, I mean, yesterday was only down 2.8%. I mean, on a day like yesterday, when some of its peers that I consider in the high growth sector, like Upstart, Fiverr, AMD, Nvidia, like some of those companies that were down a lot, Enphase kind of held up pretty nicely. That was very interesting to watch at $150 a share. ARKG big drop. So this is one of the genomics ETF that I do have, but obviously it's just been underperforming the markets. Down about 18% year to date, and breaking down from the symmetrical triangle as a prior trend was also selling off. So this stock obviously is ETF has obviously underperformed quite a bit since February highs. So Christy Academy, I just sold my loser position to $27 for $4 gain. Could have waited but didn't want to risk it going down and shut up instead. That's awesome. Congratulations, Christy. That's great. That's a really nice game. But yeah, $72 is going to be that next support level. Definitely very oversold, but I personally don't like to look at ETFs and their support levels or resistance levels. There's levels that we can watch from just like a psychological standpoint, like the S&P 4100, the NASDAQ 14,200, but it really depends on where the underlying stocks trade at, right? The underlying positions, where they trade is going to be a much better representation for us to really understand what the ETF or the index is going to do, because the support level, I mean, there's not really a demand supply factor here. It's mostly the underlying, the holdings of ARKG and how they do. Because if one of the companies, like let's say CRISPR Therapeutics or Vertex, drops over 20%, ARKG is going to blow past through that support and just come down even further. That support is not going to be valid. So the underlying holdings are way more important, in my opinion, relative to the actual supply and demand for these ETFs. All right, so quick scan on the markets. Everything pretty much green for the most part. We got few stocks that are still red. We got Plug Power down. But the good thing is that nothing's down more than 2%. That's very good. We got Sofi still kind of recovering here. Micron recovering. Alibaba slightly down, just about 1% here. Let's see. Let's take a look at DraftKings, Twitter. We got Peloton, Growth Generation, Twilio, Caterpillar, Upwork. They're all down just a little bit. And then we got Pinterest pushing higher, up over 21 basis points. Palantir also green, nothing crazy. So pretty much a flat day for the markets, with the exception of Tesla, Apple that are up over 1% each. Let's see how the banks are doing. So we got banks doing poorly today, with some of the fintech stocks kind of recovering, with Visa, MasterCard up over 1% each, and PayPal also pushing higher, slightly flat on the day so far. Let's take a look at DocuSign. So DocuSign coming down to some of our support levels at 236. So watching that level very closely. Bullish on the company. I really like everything that they're doing, and I do believe that DocuSign is in a space that is gonna be exploding in the future, like digital documentation, digital signatures. All of that is still very undervalued. I think I've done a complete fundamental analysis on the stock. I may have done that, or it may have been Adobe, but I also did some analysis on DocuSign very closely. But price to cash flow 111, price to sales 28. Rich. So let's see, the balance sheet I think is good for the company. So reasonable debt, 913 million versus cash at 822 million. So yes, I'm more bullish on Adobe a lot than DocuSign. That's why I do have a position in Adobe. I do plan on adding more, but DocuSign, waiting for further drops here. So 236 is going to be that next support. 311 is that next resistance. We're just trading in that range for the most part. Tesla, next resistance after 800 is going to be pretty much the all-time highs at that point, because you'll notice that till $880 we don't have like any significant resistance for the stock. So once we get a breakout over 800, successful breakout with some more volume, then 900, pretty much $880 is going to be that next level to watch. And this is a price that we've never seen in a long time. I mean, the last time we were here was back in January, at the beginning of this year, and then sometime in February, like in the first week of February, and since then Tesla has yet to retest highs of $850, $880 a share. So that would be like a big celebration for all Tesla shareholders to finally see Tesla at over 850, 880, even as high as like $900 a share for the company. So we're definitely moving in the right direction. We just need to make progress in a slow and steady way. I don't want the stock to rally up 20% and then fall back 10%. That's just going to create a lot of volatility. I think nice, steady progress is going to be much better for Tesla. So Activision Blizzard, we already went over. Lockheed Martin, we already went over. ChargePoint, let's take a quick look. So ChargePoint starting to push higher here. It still has a bullish divergence, very similar to Sofi. That's why, technically speaking, I am bullish on ChargePoint. Fundamentally, not quite on the company, because it still trades at a rich valuation, but technically speaking, it's making lower lows, and the RSI is making higher lows. So that's good. That's very strong for the company. So similar to Sofi, similar to so many companies that have actually broken out from a bullish divergence, ChargePoint also has the potential to break out over this 50 EMA, which is going to be sitting roughly at $22.50. So right now, I do expect like a lot of accumulation for ChargePoint, and of course, the infrastructure bill, the 3.5 trillion, is still, getting its final touches, and we're still talking over that bill as well. So once it gets passed, I mean, ChargePoint is going to be one of those companies that does benefit a lot. It does have some electric vehicle investment in that infrastructure bill. So I do expect technically the ChargePoint could potentially break out over 22.50, back up to over $25, $26 a share, just based on this bullish divergence that we're seeing. So $19 is going to be a very strong support to watch for the company. Let's see. So Corsair Gaming, just validating, some of the support levels, just consolidating sideways. I'm just going to clean up this chart a little bit. And this is going to be a resistance for the company. And Milad, could you explain why you do not like Facebook as other big tech? To me, Facebook seems very undervalued compared to other big tech. So what am I missing? I like Facebook. I did a complete analysis on Facebook, and I do plan on buying Facebook. So I do. I mean, I do, and it is undervalued. You're right. It is trading at a very reasonable valuation. So I think out of all the FANG names, Google and Facebook are the two companies that are trading at undervalued levels. I actually did a complete analysis on the stock not too long ago. So I'm just going to send you the link to that analysis. And you're more than welcome to kind of check that out. We have a complete playlist, by the way. So I'm actually going to share this playlist with everyone. This is a playlist on stocks under 30 minutes that I created for everyone to kind of, we go over we do like deep due diligence, dedicated analysis using our 16 check marks. So there's a link right there, which goes over all individual analysis for those companies. And you can find the Facebook analysis as well on there. And again, it's a playlist on YouTube that you can kind of check out as well. Lucid, 14%. Wow, strong move here. Almost getting up to our resistance at $29 a share. So that red rectangle, we're going to be tagging that level, and that's going to be the level to watch. So Jay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And again, I do plan on doing a lot more videos of those. Trust me, for the last 3 months, I've just been so swamped kind of working together on that fundamental analysis course, which is almost ready. Just give me a couple more days and it will be out. It will be launched. I'm just putting together the final touches. And of course, everyone who decides to take it will also get access to my entire spreadsheet, the financial model that I've built. It goes over all the valuation models that I use, financial statement analysis and financial ratios as well. So everything will be included from beginner friendly all the way till the end. We'll also create a cheat sheet for you guys with a lot of formulas and calculations as well. So all of that is going to be launched hopefully by the end of this week. If not, then definitely next week. I'm going to put it out there. So just been working through all those videos. 30 plus videos are going to be in that course. So I think that's going to be super valuable to everyone who decides to learn more about fundamental analysis. And then technical analysis will be covered in October. So I will be doing a separate course for that as well. So, all right. So Corsair, $26 is going to be that next support level. We're still consolidating sideways. Just a lot of range bound pattern. We do push higher, get rejected, get that resistance at $30, then start to pull back again. $26, $25 is going to be that support level to keep in mind. So Rita, what is the next level down for Google and Microsoft? So Google, 2550-ish would be the level to watch. Although there might be some support at the 100 SMA, so roughly at 2600. But if you do come down to 2550, this is going to be a much better level of demand for the stock, previous resistance and the support for the company that I would add more shares of Google at. And then for Microsoft, I think 275 is going to be that level, 270, 275, just anything aligned with this higher low. So you'll notice that in the past, this line, let me just remove all the moving averages so that it can be much clearer. So right here, I'm just going to remove this, and I'm going to remove this. So this ascending support, the higher low you see right here for Microsoft, you can kind of validate this level time and time again. It's just been pushing higher, and it's been validated several times. So here, second time here, third, fourth. So if we do see a pullback here for Microsoft, then this level right here, 268 to as high as $270 is going to be that next support level, just aligned with this higher low. So that's why moving averages are great. They're a good representation of where the next sort of support could be, but I just like to focus on the price action and how Microsoft has been validating that support time and time again. So we'll just continue to monitor Microsoft. It's a phenomenal company, great company in my opinion. Definitely deserve a spot in everyone's portfolio, but just consider the valuation as well and what the technicals look like in terms of support resistance levels. Let's see, ZIM shipping plays about 50% in 2 months in these. That's awesome. Congratulations, Anita. That's great. So this has been a strong uptrend, right? From lows of $11, jumped over 400%. It had a negative divergence here, so it was forming these lower highs with the RSI pushing higher. Then we saw a decent correction of 34%, and since then it's just started to push higher even further. So right now it is definitely coming down, and shipping companies with the pandemic have been swamped with getting a lot of packages and a lot of deliveries to people. So I'm sure the revenues have done really well. So you'll notice that 2020 revenues have done incredibly well, growing almost at $4 billion and becoming profitable as well. So I can expect 2020 to be a phenomenal year for them. So that's really good. Watching support at this $47 per share level. Actually, it's going to be a little bit higher. Roughly at $50. So previous resistance aligned with that 50 EMA. So that right there is going to be that support level to watch for this company, right? We have come down just over 17-18%. So I would consider to kind of watch that 50 EMA as a support for this. All right, so Nasdaq up over 65, S&P up over 0.5%, Dow Jones also rallying over 146 points here. Walgreens is flat, just about as flat as it gets. So no movement there. QuantumScape pushing higher over 5%. So this is now starting to break out even further, right? So you'll definitely notice it had a falling wedge pattern, so just making lower highs and lower lows, and then recently broke out from this falling wedge pattern, right? So definitely breaking out over 50 EMA and that resistance as well, and watching that as a new support. So it came down to validate as a new support, and I could see some more upside here for QuantumScape as well, just on a technical standpoint. So this right here is going to be that next target and that next resistance to watch for the company. That's going to be a reasonable upside of 20-21% for QuantumScape. So double top resistance, previous resistance for the company, and that is going to be that next resistance level to watch for the company. So everything up for the most part, with very few stocks that are down, and they're not down by a lot, just by 1 to 2%. Let's take a look at the SPY holdings, or let's just go over to the Dow 30 stocks first. For the most part, everything is green, with Boeing up over 4%. Very strong here to the upside. Definitely breaking out over 4.6% here. So $234 is going to be that next resistance level to watch, and support level is going to be $210 for the company. And again, a strong breakout to the upside here for Boeing. So watching those moving averages first, right there, the 50 SMA and the 200 simple moving average for Boeing. All right, guys, so thank you so much for joining in. I really do appreciate you guys' support, and make sure that you drop a like if you enjoyed this live stream, subscribe if you're new, and also keep recommending any shortcuts that you guys know. Any interesting shortcuts, we're gonna try that starting tomorrow. Let's see what you guys come up with. Maybe like Control-Alt-Delete or something, right? But yeah, thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. So Mark, I will be sending out alerts here in any stocks that I buy, but of course I will be sending out updates as well and the alerts. So thank you again for joining in, and don't forget that we have the course which will be launching very soon. It's got over 30 plus videos and everything. I've spent so much time on this over the last several months, kind of building it and working just tirelessly on this. So it's going to provide a lot of value to everyone who decides to take it. So thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate you guys. But of course, if you want to join the Patreon and of course get the real-time updates and alerts, the link is going to be down in the description below. Devil, you'll never walk alone. Come on, man. Liverpool, really? Come on. United. Jay, so will that be on Patreon? What will be on Patreon? Just curious before I go. So yeah. Let me know if you have any questions over at our Discord. I will be there answering questions, or comment them down below as well. And of course, let me know in the live chat if you have any questions as well. So thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate you guys. As always, take care. Happy investing. I'll see you guys in the next live stream. Cheers.